to the Plutosphere, connecting decentralized technologies to the global economy. We are here to bring you the latest from the leading commanders in the crypto space. This week, we are welcoming our guest, Ronan Murphy, Group CEO of Smarttech247 and Get Visibility. So it's very exciting to have Ronan on. You are currently leading a worldwide organization that operates at the cutting edge of cybersecurity. So perhaps you could just give us a quick introduction to yourself, Ronan, and a bit more about Smarttech.
Yes, thank you, Georgina. Well, cybersecurity is a fascinating industry. There's not a day goes by where you don't turn on the news or open a newspaper and read about the next big cybersecurity breach that's taking place. And at the scale that we're witnessing now in terms of cyber breaches is unprecedented, and it's attacking almost every industry vertical, from healthcare, financial, manufacturing, retail, and some very, very high profile attacks. So I've been working in the industry for the last 15 years. We operate security operations centers around Europe. We protect some of the world's leading companies, and we deal with every conceivable type of cyber attack you could imagine across, again, every vertical you could imagine. And as recently as the last 3 months, we were dealing with the entire attack on the Irish Health Service, and trying to get those hospitals back up and running after they were taken offline by a Russian ransomware gang.
So following straight on from that, what should we be doing ourselves to prevent things like that happening again? Obviously, so much data was dispersed into the World Wide Web. How are we to protect ourselves in this environment?
The reality of the situation is that you need to do the basics right. Most of the people that fall victim to either cyber fraud or hackers, it's as a consequence of not doing, good password hygiene, not ensuring that they patch vulnerabilities, clicking on links. Human beings are the weakest link, and they're always ultimately the person that's targeted, and then they result in either themselves losing money or getting their details compromised, or their organization falling victim to a cyber hack. So if you do the basics right, your chances of getting hit are significantly reduced. But at the same time, the hackers are getting better. They're getting more targeted. They're getting more sophisticated. And I'm sure you guys are aware that you've seen the text messages pretending to be from DHL or FedEx or Amazon.
Yeah.
You get the emails pretending to be your delivery company. And these guys are getting better. They're using AI and machine learning to target people and to try and fish their details. And it's you have to be very, very aware and alert and question everything. If it feels too good to be true, it probably is.
I think you touched on a perfect point there. Delivery companies, even whether they don't look like they're asking for money directly, you go through links and you do this and you give them certain information, and then they can get there by themselves. They don't necessarily need you to input your bank details. Which brings us on to a different area, obviously, that our community is going to be a lot more interested in. How long have you, as Smarttech247, have been in the crypto industry, working with crypto companies?
Yeah, we've been working now with crypto companies for a couple of years. It's a sector that's booming. There's an awful lot of value in the sector, and obviously anywhere where there's value, you're going to have the bad guys targeting individuals and industries in that sector. So yeah, we have a number of clients, including great company Pluto on our portfolio of customers that we protect and secure. So it's a really, really exciting sector. I love it. So
we appreciate it. Thank you.
No, it's a really exciting sector, but obviously with its excitement, obviously there have been some serious hacks. There was the 611 million Poly network hack, the Ethereum Classic, where the hacker was able to gain control over Ethereum Classic's network, rewrite the transaction history, and as a result, the attacker was able to double spend cryptocurrencies. Yes. Can you sort of talk a little bit more on how to spot these types of attacks before they actually occur?
Yeah, the big issue you have whenever you're building software platforms is that there's vulnerabilities, right? And I guess where it gets very high stakes poker in the crypto world is where the guys who are building the platforms, if there's not responsible disclosure around those vulnerabilities, and if they're not effectively fixed or patched, as we call it, then it leads to significant problems. So I think it's really having doubling down on the build part of the projects and ensuring that when there's these vulnerabilities or flaws in the platforms are identified, that they're fixed quickly and effectively, and that there's I guess there's good rewards for the engineers and the developers who spot them and who bring them to the attention of the owners, because the last thing you want is people finding these vulnerabilities and deciding that instead of responsibly disclosing them, they decide to exploit them and double pay themselves on crypto and so forth. So it's you need a lot of trust, you need a lot of quality, you need a lot of due diligence in terms of how you deal with it. But it's a problem that's going to become more prevalent in terms of as you build more software and you build more systems and you innovate, you have digital transformation and cloud migration, vulnerabilities are just a fact of life.
So do you think there should be more of an incentive for white hat hackers to be able to spot this?
Absolutely. I mean, it's white hat hacking is fundamentally important. And whether you do that through a community model or whether you do it through employing companies like Smarttech, it is something that is really, really important. And you can never do enough of it. I mean, it's just so important, because remember, the bad guys you're fighting against, they're a multi-billion-dollar industry. They've unlimited resources. They've all the time in the world. They only ever need to be right once. You need to be right all the time. So it's something that people really have to take a lot of responsibility for.
Yeah, I think that's a great way of putting it, because we have so many other concentrations. We're not necessarily worried about hacking. I mean, me personally, I'm on my computer, 15 hours a day, if not more. And I don't think, I'm going to get hacked in a minute. I think, right, what am I meant to be doing next? Where should I be putting my info so I can, take the next step of whatever I'm doing? But these other people,
yes.
that's my day-to-day job. But these other people, their day-to-day job is trying to get into my information. And I'm obviously hugely vulnerable because I'm just completely unaware. And that is just an everyday user issue, I guess. So maybe a little bit more on sort of ransom attacks and how traceable and trackable they are on the blockchain. Could we go into that a little bit?
Well, so when you talk about ransomware attacks, I mean, the reason they're so prevalent and so successful is they're incredibly difficult to trace, right? And the ability to get payments in crypto is it's a big facilitator of this type of crime, right? Now, a lot of people say, look, if you regulate crypto, this will go away, but it won't. The cat's out of the bag now. There's too much money in it. They'll find other ways to get paid if they attack you. So
interesting. So regulation won't make it.
No way. No, the cat is out of the bag now. It's too late. I mean, I think it was announced last week that it was tracked that there was over 5.5 billion paid in crypto to these ransomware gangs. So they've got deep pockets. You cannot put the cat back in the bag, right? This has already happened. So regulation won't fix it. And you also have some really macro challenges where they get protection from the government. So obviously places like North Korea and possibly China and Russia, the government don't necessarily put pressure on these guys to clean up their act or to stop doing it, because there's an ancillary benefit in Russia having ransomware guys who will attack hospitals and electricity grids and undermine people's confidence in their government to protect them. What better way to do it than knock a bunch of hospitals offline or an electricity grid offline? So they serve a useful function for the Kremlin, you could say.
I guess it's just a way for those guys to sort of stay in control. And like you say, now the cat's out of the bag, they're going to carry on learning. I learn something new every day, as I'm sure you do. People that spend their entire lifetime on the web, they are constantly learning, and there is constantly new ways of doing things. So you have to stay on top. And in terms of having regulation, do you really think that any amount of regulation is ever going to be able to catch up with the growth that's happening at the moment in the space?
No way. I mean, these guys are too big, they're too well resourced. And I mean, they're targeting you globally. They've all of the time in the world, and I mean the ability of individual countries to try and fight this pandemic of ransomware attacks and global cyber attacks is incredibly difficult. I mean, companies have to look at it on a per company basis. They have to look at what best practice looks like, try and implement that effectively themselves, and their chances then of getting hacked are probably significantly reduced. Because remember, if you've got good security hygiene, if you're implementing best practice, there's plenty of people that aren't, and they'll go after those guys because it's just easier.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely ridiculous. So what challenges do you think that we're likely to see more of in sort of cybersecurity and the crypto industry? Well, considering we've seen so much in the last 2 years, because everyone's just turned to the online world, it's already grown enough. So how about now we're back out, we're taking our minds off of the various websites we've given our bank details to so we could get orders, we could get subscriptions. We're now back out into the universe, forgetting that we've done all of that. What do you think that we're more likely to see now in this space?
Yeah, so first to the challenges, right? The challenges are significant insofar as there's a huge skills shortage from a technology and a perspective globally. I mean, in cyber alone, it's estimated there's 2.5 million jobs, right? Available jobs. So it's hard to find the staff and the people and the skills and capabilities. Our adversaries here are well funded. They've got deep pockets. They've got a taste for the high life and the Lamborghinis, and they're 5.5 billion in crypto payments over the last 36 months. These guys are, they're a big business now. They're very professional. They're investing in research and development and artificial intelligence and ways of exploiting their victims. So that's the bad news. The good news is that on the good side of the house, you have companies innovating and building technology and identifying ways to fend off these bad guys from attacking them. I mean, we see it every single day of the week, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Companies doing it very successfully. So it's important that people learn, people keep innovating, people learn from when it goes bad for somebody else. They understand why did that happen, and then they make sure that they're investing properly in their own security posture. And then I think ultimately for individuals, there's an onus on us to question everything, whether it's a phone call or a text message or an email. Be careful of what you click on, and just have common sense when it comes to your digital identity and your digital footprint.
Yeah.
Amazing tips. How do you, as sort of a smart tech, how do you manage to keep up with all the cybersecurity, all the hacks, all of that? How do you manage to stay on top of it and know how to challenge it?
It's full on all of the time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We've got teams of people who are continuously trawling the dark web, looking for the next set of vulnerabilities. They're in hacking forums, they're talking to hackers, they're engaging with them.
Wow.
They're in many cases they're acting as hackers themselves to try and get the inside track. Every breach that happens anywhere in the world, we're studying it to identify how did they exploit them, what were the issues, where were the vulnerabilities, and then we're constantly baking that into the advice that we give to our clients so that they don't fall victim to the same issue.
So effectively, you guys have got sort of undercover cops. You've got two sides of smart tech. You've got the customer service where you're able to help us be there at our sort of beck and call if we have an urgent need. And then you also have the guys on the ground who have got the latest information. We've already picked up on that. We already know about this. You need to protect yourself here, here, and here, which will obviously enable you to then inform your clients, even if it's minutes before a hack is about to happen. That is such a safe, such a comfort, I guess, for companies, especially like us. People are really looking at us from every angle, whether they want to hack or whether they want to see how we're doing and how we're growing. Other VCs and other projects out there are letting so many people in. They don't know how to filter. So it's fantastic having you guys on board for sure. So maybe just
so much.
Just before we let you go, would you just tell us a little bit more about your team, how many there are of you as a CEO, where you've come from and how you've grown into Smarttech 247?
Yeah, so we've about 200 people now. We've offices in Ireland, south of Ireland, in the UK, in Poland, in Romania, in New York, in the Middle East, and we have an incredible team. It's growing at an amazing rate. We're with 50 open jobs at the moment across threat intelligence, project management, engineering, security operations, vulnerability and pen testing. So we're growing at a phenomenal pace. We're investing very, very heavily in building our own technologies in our R&D department. I've been in this sector for the last 15 years. I've never seen an appetite or growth like we're seeing over the last, say, 24, 36 months. So, I mean, I love it. It's very exciting. It's very dynamic. It's a bit like the crypto world. You're constantly running around at 1,000 miles an hour, but I wouldn't have it any other way.
Okay, thank you so
love it.
So
sorry, you go.
Sorry, I was just going to say, so we obviously look to you for help, and we rely on you as a company. Have there ever been times where you've not necessarily been able to support because something's been so big or so last minute that you've not been able to catch on?
Yeah, I mean, on the 4th of July weekend, I was out cycling on my bike, and I got a phone call from the FBI that one of the biggest cyber hacks in the world had just taken place. The White House were just speaking about it. There was a presidential briefing coming out from the White House. I was asked would I get to a Zoom link and speak with the leadership team of this large company in Florida. And we had all of their senior people on the call, and we discussed the significance of this specific breach. We were asked could we help, and the sheer size and scale of it globally and the amount of people affected by it was just too much for us to actually get involved in, so we declined. But I think it was a very nice endorsement of our reputation, the fact that the US government was reaching out to us to get our opinion on the issue.
That's incredible. So would you not, sorry, I know we're letting you go in 2 minutes, but that's incredible. Would you not necessarily work together with another security company to cover more ground? Or is it just, if something's too big, you're like, look, I've got clients I need to concentrate on. I can't take on your project as well?
This particular project was simply too big, and I think it was too big possibly for anybody to fix.
Really? Got it.
Yeah, the scale was millions and millions of computers, all affected concurrently in every part of the globe. So very, very difficult problem to deal with.
What happened with that? And are we allowed to know what's happened?
Ransomware attack. Wow. Biggest ransomware attack in history.
It's sad, really, because we're so pro the internet, and we're so pro everything that we're doing. There's a couple of really, really bad eggs, and it is a shame. But that's all the questions from me. Sorry, Georgie, carry on now. Done.
No. I'm just gonna say, it's been so interesting to have you on. It sounds like if possible, we'd love to sort of hear from you again, and keep up to date with what we can be doing. If there's any sort of new innovating things that we should be keeping aware of, we need to keep up to date with you. Is there anywhere that people should be following you guys, where, socials, do you give out sort of tips and advice on socials, things like that?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm always on Twitter, Smarttech247, spouting on about cybersecurity, same on LinkedIn. And they're probably two of our best social channels in terms of talking about the problems that we see.
Fab, perfect. We can pop the links below as well. But thanks so much for coming on, Ronan. It's been brilliant.
Guys,
and
thanks so much. Thoroughly enjoyable. Thank you, ladies.
Bye.
Perfect.
Thanks.
So thanks, Pluto Notes, for watching. We'll be back with more from the galaxy of Pluto soon. But in the meantime, don't forget to give us a like,
It's a share,
and subscribe.